Guy Fieri, thank you so much for being here.
Is it karaoke hour? I'm terrible at karaoke.
Want to do some karaoke?
I'm terrible at
Gonna
it.
do some lowrider for
I'm
us?
horrible at karaoke.
When was the last time you did karaoke?
The first and the last time? It was in college, and I don't remember much of it. I just remember someone saying, you should never do that again.
Do you happen to remember the song? Because now I'm curious.
No, it was probably me wanting to do something really cool that I thought that I sang cool. I think there was maybe a Public Enemy or something. I don't know. I was terrible. Terrible. So, good. I'm glad, because I see a mic and a stage and lighting, and I think for some reason I'm getting drugged into something.
I would pay money to watch you do karaoke.
I'd pay you money not to watch it.
Guy Fieri's Family Food. Where did this come from? What made this book happen?
I've got two boys, Hunter and Ryder, and that's really my life. I mean, that's what I'm most, and my wife, Lori. And I was just having a random conversation with my publisher, and she was just kind of, we were just shooting just going over like what's up and how you been and what's going on. And I said, it's just really about being home. I'm on the road quite a bit. Hunter's getting ready to take off for college. This was 2 years ago. And I've been teaching him a lot of things that he needs to cook and needs to be aware of, like how to roast a chicken. Okay, let's talk about chicken roasting. And that real contemporary topic. I know you're all following it.
No, that is so, roasting a chicken is so important. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just learned how to properly roast a chicken 2 years ago, and I was like, how did I not know this when I was a teenager?
It's one of those things. I mean, it's so easy to go and get a roasted chicken at most stores, but the thing is there's an accomplishment. There's a sense of appreciation, and I say it's like kids doing a spelling test and bringing it home and putting it on the fridge. Teach your kids to cook, and they'll have that same level of appreciation. And I think we teach our kids early on the appreciation of food and making wise decisions about food. So anyhow, that was it. I was just having this conversation. I said, yeah, and I'm doing this, and Ryder and I are making pizza dough now. He really digs it because he likes when the pizza dough, sits for a day and it really builds that yeasty flavor and all this. And I just rambling on and on and on because it's about my kids and it's about food, my things I love the most. And she goes, great, that's a great book. Let's do it. And I'm like, wait a second, that wasn't even a pitch. That was just and it's what it became. And it's really, and it sounds so cliche. This is my favorite book. Really, honestly, this is my sixth book. This one, if this was the last book, I would be content. This is it. This was the book.
Is that because this is about your family, or at least it stems from being about your family?
It's all, that's all we are. I mean, or at least in my world, it's my whole life is about my family. And, I got my dad wrote the foreword. That was a brave move on my part because I didn't know what the hell he was going to tell you guys. But it's a really neat piece that he wrote. My dad's super smart and he really gets down to it in his own funny way, the way he explains things. And it really did a nice job of what he wrote. And it was, when I got it and I read it, and then I said, this has to be edited. That was the first thing I said. Dad, you can't write stuff like that. But after we cleaned it up, it was really one of the most sentimental things my dad's ever written to me, so it was pretty awesome.
Well, what's it like when you teach children how to cook? Do you find that it makes them more process-oriented people rather than solely results-oriented? Because I find with cooking, you become much more about the process leading to the results rather than just sort of expecting the results right away.
It's a lot deeper than we get in the kitchen, just so you know. That's like a writer talking. That's like come up with a concept, have an end result, a theory. You know what cooking is cooking is an expression, in my opinion. It's an expression of yourself. And some people are a little more simple. Some are a little more complicated. Some have a little bit more finesse. Some are a little more straightforward. Some take risks, some don't. And cooking really, in my opinion, really is, I watch people in that way. Some people have to follow a recipe. Doesn't matter if they've been cooking all their life, they follow a recipe. And other people that had been cooking, never cooked before, won't follow a recipe if you put $100 on it, So it really is kind of it's a balance of who the person is. But I think what it is, back to that comment of freedom of expression, it builds confidence. To know that you can change the tire on your car. I'm talking to a bunch of New Yorkers, not many people have a car, but wrong area. But to know how to do your own downloading of your phone, to know how to do any of these things, it gives you a sense of empowerment. You become a little bit more liberated. I think one of the greatest liberations we can have, one of the greatest empowerments we can have is food. To really know how to make a good hard-boiled egg, to really know how to make the bomb mashed potatoes, to really know, to go to a farmer's market and look at something and say, I'm going to cook that cauliflower. those are the things that I think really. That's what we're really talking about when it's teaching kids to cook, is that empowerment. And that's what I was doing with my son, Hunter. I was just on the phone with him before we came out, and we were talking. He went and got his own apartment. So he's a sophomore in college. Doesn't like his roommate. His roommate's a pig. No, I shouldn't say pig. His roommate doesn't keep his house clean. And my son is disturbed by it to the point that he's moving out. And I'm like, so you found an apartment? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you going to send me the paperwork? He goes, I got it. I'm like, my son? You haven't called your mom for this? You haven't called me? I said, what about the electric? You have to hook that up. Got it. Gas. Got it. Garbage. Got it. I'm like, thanks.
And do you think that his confidence in all of this goes back to sort of learning how to cook at an early age, or just learning how to do things and know how to do things and research it?
I think it's all hand in hand. I think that when you empower your kids, we all want to do it. Who's a parent? Right. So as a parent, what do we want to do? We want to baby our kids. We want to do everything for our kids. We want to coddle our kids. We want, and the reality of it is are we really doing them a favor? And I think that, my youngest son, Ryder, is in 5th grade. And all through 4th grade, I let him know that come 5th grade, he was going to be responsible for his own breakfast and packing his own lunch. I don't think that that's unreasonable. So we worked through it through 4th grade, and he complained about it, and I'm not going to do it. And he does it. Now, he eats a lot of toast. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's not really branched out into that. But he'll tell me the night before, he'll say, like, can I have grits in the morning? And I say, yeah. And so I'll get up, and we'll do grits 15 minutes early because you got to have, your grits got to be done right. And so he has little things that he likes to eat. French toast, he knows how to do that. I kind of give him a little bit of support. But he has to initiate it. He has to get the ingredients out. He has to do this. And yes, and I think that what he's getting for 6th grade, which he doesn't know yet, keep it amongst us, is he's getting his own laundry. Oh, this kid loves to go into wardrobe change. I don't know what's going on with it. It's like runway time. But he's going to learn his own laundry. These are things that I learned when I was a kid. And I had chores, man. I had chopping wood and feeding animals and mowing lawns and all that kind of stuff. And not all, we don't have that as much anymore for kids. But I think that all of that empowerment to the kids teaches responsibility, teaches ownership, follow through, communication. It does all those components. A lot of the things that I think in today's society we might be starting to slip a bit on.
And you have this chapter in this book called All Hands on Deck, which is sort of like started by your father, you said, and it's about the family getting together and not just eating together, but kind of having a meal where they can cook together as well, the whole family. At least get their hands dirty, as you say.
When we shot this, we called All Hands on Deck. And I drew these funny little cartoon pictures in there. I didn't draw them. My tattoo artist did. But it reminded me of Saturday Evening Post. Remember when you look at a Saturday Evening Post? Some of you are so young you don't know what that is. But those of you that remember it back in the dark ages, Saturday Evening Post, you'd look at that picture, and it just said so many things to you. It wasn't so point blank that it just gave you the answer. You looked at it, and you kind of went, what in the heck were they think? What is Guy got going? So the pictures are kind of comical. They're a little bit goofy. My kids hate them. My son Hunter is mortified. I can't believe the way you make me look in those pictures. But the thing about it was it was really kind of going back to the old school attitude, the old school, like where my mind was in doing these chapters. And All Hands on Deck is about calling everybody to order when we're making tamales. It's not rocket science. We're making a lot of them. We're going to make a whole mess of tamales, and everybody's going to get a job, and then we're going to swap people around. But we're all going to feel that accomplishment. And I think that those are the times that you have the laugh, and someone throws the masa at the other one, and somebody, ditches out on their job duty, and they're backed up, and where are they? And they're on their phone. All those kind of things are going on. That's the family humor, the funk, the energy, the love, the jive. That's what's going on, and we need more of that because we're becoming, I'm not saying everybody is, but in a lot of ways, things are becoming pretty sterile. A lot of phones, a lot of tablets, a lot of TV, a lot of computer, a lot of too busy, a lot of I'll send you a text versus call you. Don't call me, don't text me and tell me you love me. Hunter, call me on the phone. I'm right here, And we have, and I fall into the same thing. And I called Hunter today and left him a message versus texting him because it's a little bit more. And you got to wait for that dumb message. And he does that. Hello? Oh no, I'm not really here, dude. I fall for it 50% of the time because he answers the phone the same way each time.
My poor dad, I text him all the time. I don't call him nearly as much as he calls me now. I feel bad. Thank you.
Well, I'm just bringing it right to the heart. But it's these family values and these foundations. It's taking the time at the dinner table. we were talking earlier, and I said that, when we watch Monday Night Football, if we get to have dinner and watch it, it's like a special day, that we're watching TV and eating food. Otherwise, I sit down and how was school? And what did you do? And let me tell you what I'm doing in New York next week. And we go through this. And yes, at first it's a little boring because you're going from 1,000,000 miles an hour of mass media and all kinds of craziness to talking to humans and to having dialogue where you have to listen and you have to respond and all these things go on. So that's kind of what goes on in my family. And I'm the worst at it because I'm 1,000,000 miles an hour all the time. But it really grounds me and really keeps me in the moment. And we need to be more we had this whole conversation. Hunter wrote a paper about being in the moment. And he says, what is your feeling? He interviewed me about it, about taking videos or pictures in the middle of a major situation, like a birthday or an event or a Super Bowl or something. And are you present? Or are you more interested in capturing it to have it to show to people later? And I was like, I'm guilty,
I'm a TV host.
Yeah, I do that, bad.
I think that's so true because I feel like what was formerly special for people and families has now become the norm, and it should be still a special. When I was a kid, it was special to go eat fast food. It wasn't the norm. Like when I was a kid, it was special if the TV was on during dinner. It was a big conversation that had to take place. Now for so many people, it's kind of just like it's the way they live.
Yeah, I was an exchange student in France, and when I was 16, and it was really an amazing experience because I came from California, going to live right outside of Paris, and in some ways it was, in all ways it was completely different. But we had fast food, and we had that, and you go over to France, and they didn't have, at that point in time, I don't want to tell you what year it was, but there was no McDonald's. There was no, I'm trying to explain to my French friends in bad French what a Dorito was. Dorito? So.
Oh, you eat Dorito? That sounds terrible.
Yes, it was terrible, trust me. But we would take these lunches that were just like, hour and a half lunch at school, and a phenomenal lunch at school was so good. It wasn't anything like the cafeteria stuff we had, but they took so much time. There was so much, everybody's focused around food. And I wrote my parents a letter from France, and because it was back in the day when the phone took forever to get a message across. And I wrote and I said, I got this. I said, I didn't know the world of food was this big. I came from a really great community of food. My parents were great cooks. They were hippies, and we did a lot of macrobiotic cooking. So I was down with food. I really had a big perspective. Man, I went to France, and I was just, my mind was blown. Cheese, the bread. It's a whole different world than what we think we have going on.
Now, I got to ask, let's talk about your show for a minute, Diners and Drive-Ins. One of the things about that show is you're eating amazing food all the time on that show. But that is food that is also hard to eat a lot of. When you're shooting that show, how often do you have to be like, I'm good, guys. We're going to have to take this one to tomorrow?
Well, I'll tell you two things about the show. One, the first thing people walk up to me and say all the time on the road is, you're that guy that eats the pizza, nacho, chili dog, deep fried chicken wing sandwich.
Did you eat one of those? That sounds amazing.
And I think that people believe that. And the thing that's so funny about it is we find our comfort in the weirdest ways. People derive their own outcome of the show. I pick every location we go to. Well, my research team does, and then I verify it. But then I pick the menu. I go through the menu in detail. We get full vetting of all the menu items and all the recipes, like where did the meat come from, where did the vegetables come from, what's the process in which they do this. And I can tell just from the readout on it and the recipe what I'm getting. So people say all the time, do you go and get surprised and the food sucks? And I'm like, no, because I'm usually so far ingrained into what is actually going on. But if you really watch the show and if you really do the tail of the tape, you will find out I don't like fried food very much. I enjoy a French fry like anybody does. Give me an onion ring. But I'm seeking out to find big, fat, glorious food. That's not my style. Matter of fact, the majority of what you'll see on Triple D is you'll see ethnic food. I love ethnic food. I love anybody. But I love handmade food. I love scratch-made food. I love farm to table. I love family recipes. But I'm not a big, and yes, we'll have fried chicken and waffles once in a while and so forth, but it's not, I really don't, I feel the show gets a little bit of a bad rap of being this indulgence food style. Now, answering your question, which is big for me to come all the way back to the question, because I'm usually all the way over here already. I have to, and I have real specific rules about it with my team. I'll take 1, 2, maybe 3 bites. And I really try to make the bites count. And we call them, this is what I was told to call them back in the day, a princess bite. So you don't shove everything in your mouth. I know it looks like I shove everything, but you take a bite, and I have to really focus on what I'm trying. And I go through a full regimen of what I eat in the morning before I go to a shoot. I make sure that I don't have too much of anything. I don't want my palate messed up. I mean, I really want to give you a fair, and trust me, if I don't like it, you don't see it. I mean, there's been locations we've walked out of. There's locations we've never aired. There's been items that I've tasted that we haven't shown. I'm not saying everything in the restaurant is awesome, which I've had people come up to me and say, I went to that place and the burger was terrible. And I'm like, I had the waffles. Oh, the waffles were great. The waffles were great, but the burger, I said, I didn't have the burger. Don't shoot the messenger. But it really comes down to having a few bites and then, okay, take it. And especially when it comes to Asian food, I'm a big Asian food fan. And they'll have to sometimes we do fight a little bit. You wrap that up right now, and if that doesn't make it into my car on the way out of here, you're a dead man. But otherwise, I have to really watch. I do 3 locations a day, but I spend a lot of time in the gym for it, and I eat. I have a real regimen. I do a lot of green juice in the morning, get all that, get those natural enzymes working, make sure, gotta stay on top of my game.
Was that something that you had to learn over the course of shooting the show? That wasn't something like going into the first season, you were like, this is how, like 3 locations today, and I drink green juice in the morning. It's like second season, you're like, okay, now I know how to do this.
When we started the show, I'm the worst for food coma. I mean, I'm just like, you give me a bowl of pasta, I'm out. I want to go to Chinese food. There's one of my favorite Chinese food restaurants in the world. Tasty hand-pulled noodle. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And I want to go there, and my management team's over here that we're doing this book tour, and they're like, don't let him go there. He'll be asleep in the car in 5 minutes. And I will. For some reason, when I eat carbs, I'm lights out. But no, I had to learn it the hard way. When we first started the show, we only shot 1 location. Well, when we first did the first pilot, it took us 17 days to shoot the pilot, a 1-hour pilot. The producer, the team was super aggressive of trying to make sure we shot it in every single facet we could. And then since I've become the executive producer of the show, we've gone to 1 location a day. Then a couple years later, we did 2 locations a day, and now I shoot with a team of with 2 full production teams that go out and they leapfrog in a day, and I'll shoot 3 locations in a day. Wow. With a lot of pre-pro by my team. I say it all the time. It's great. It's easy to be the quarterback that I'm at, the position I'm at, when you have a front line that protects you and does what they do. I attribute all my success to my production team and my field team. They're the ones that make it happen. They're the ones that make us look good. Don't zoom in on me, by the way. I'm just kidding.
And it's an incredible amount of success. Like it's wild to have a show on the network that you're on and also become someone that gets impersonated on SNL, which is amazing. What did you think about that when Bobby Moynihan does you on Weekend Update?
I met Bobby. Ironically enough, I was at an SNL taping, and I'm sitting there, and William Shatner is doing a shtick right beside me. It's the weirdest thing, and I love SNL. I've always loved SNL. And I think Bobby kills it. I think Bobby's hysterical. And matter of fact, we've become buddies. And when Hunter turned 18, I asked Bobby to I did a little video, all my buddies that had him do little videos and put them together as a little comprise thing for his birthday. And Bobby did one. And it was really cool. And he's a true artist. I mean, he's able to pick out the nuances and exploit them to the 15 millionth degree. But it's funny, and I mean, you got to laugh at yourself, and you got to be, unfortunately, in this business, in today's world, in media or not, you got to be ready to, to take the heat, and that's what it is. And don't get hung up on it. You spend too much time worrying about it. So, but I laugh with it. Matter of fact, I think it's funny. I think he does it. I think he does it great. I want to do it one day though, where he says, "In the Jägermeister," and then I come on and go, "No, Bobby, you're doing it wrong. It's the Jägermeister. It goes in the raisins." And I want to do Bobby Moynihan doing Guy Fieri.
You want to make a cameo appearance next to
Oh, it would be. Moments. Let me tell you, Endgame. I don't have many bucket list things. That right there. I love Saturday Night Live. I think it's hysterical. I see, we have the ebb and flow. It goes up and down. But I think that it's being there and watching what happens and what it takes to pull that show off. You just got to hand it to that group. That group is going 24/7 to make that show happen. So I applaud them. They do a great job. We're lucky to have it. That's the old school improv comedy right there.
Let's open up to the audience for some questions. Who has questions out here? Hi.
I have question number 1.
Hello.
So, would you rather,
Oh, boy.
I knew it would be nerve-wracking if I started like that, go out, interview someone at a restaurant, kind of like a Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or would you rather be doing a show where you're actually cooking yourself?
That's an awesome, awesome question. I don't know, did my wife send that over? My favorite show, honestly, is my cooking show, Guy's Big Bite. That's what I love to do more than anything. I would go cook. I've been on the road before for weeks at a time where I'll just go meet the chef at the hotel, and I'm like, could I come in the kitchen and cook anything? Can I just make some dinner? And, they'll laugh at me like, really? I didn't think you'd want to cook. You're on the road. I'm like, no, that's what I do. People say, when you come home, I bet you what you want to do is just not cook anything. Oh, that's the night that I go crazy. I come home, I spend an hour and a half at the grocery store. I buy everything that I'm not, I need some of those, and then I come home and I make no rhyme or reason of how the meal comes together. It's everything, every ethnicity, anything that I was jonesing for on the road. So that's always my favorite thing to do. I was never intending to be on television. I mean, this is kind of a fluke, and I think the reason it works is because I'm not a TV person. I'm a chef that just happens to get how to talk to other chefs. And when I first started the show, we first started Triple D, we shot in Linden, New Jersey at a little diner. The guy gave me a list of things, and he said, go interview the guy and ask him all these questions. So I get in the kitchen with him, and we're kind of hanging out, and I'm in this tiny diner, and the lady wants coffee, and I come from the restaurant, poured her coffee, and so how long have you had the place? And the egg needed to be flipped, and flipped the egg, and so really, where did you buy the diner from? And then plated up. Oh, I got the plate, and I'm plating up the food. And after about 15 minutes of asking questions and cooking, the producer yells at me, he goes, what are you doing? And I said, get out here. Takes me outside. He says, what was that? He says, I gave you questions to ask. I said, I asked the questions. I said, I just didn't ask them the way you wanted me to ask them because I can't stand there. The dude's working. The restaurant's busy. Things are going on. I'm a chef. This is what we do. And he goes, well, can you do the questions like that again? And I said, I do. That's standing on my head. I said, that's what we do in the kitchen. You talk and you cook and you work and you jive and you move. And he goes, and he drops his clipboard and he says, we've got a hit. And so thank you. So that style is just kind of how I've always done it. I'm in their kitchen. That's their castle. I'm a visitor. I pay respects to them. I pay attention to what they're doing. And it goes into the term of namaste, recognizing the power of other people and recognizing the power of where they're at. And so answering the question, finally, I love to cook. It's my favorite thing in the world. It's the only thing I'm really great at that I can get paid for. And the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives takes me away from my family way too much. But all it takes is one time, once a month, to visit a restaurant or to get a letter, get an email, or get a thank you, or get a recognition, or get a tweet of people explaining and reminding me of the amazing results that show does for these mom and pop restaurants across the country and now in the world. When we've shot Italy and Cuba, and we just recently shot Barcelona. And that's what this is about. It's about the opportunity to help the other people and to highlight them. And they think, thank you so much, thank you. I said, you know what, it's not me. All I did is shine the light on you. You've already been doing greatness and creating great food and a great story and great energy and giving to your community for so long. All I'm doing is putting the magnifying glass on you and letting the rest of the world see you. So that gift to me, the ability to be that guy to help people like that, well, I can't really say that I like that less than I like cooking, because both of them are about taking care of people. That's why I cook. I love to make people happy. So it's kind of a wash depending on what paradigm or what perspective you take. But at the end game, you'll find me in a little tiny restaurant down in Mexico in a 5-table thing. When I put a flag out in the morning, it means we're going to be open tonight, and then you can come in and whatever's on the menu is what I'm cooking.
There it is. Next question.
Hi, Guy. I'm
Hello.
Emma. I just moved here from Toronto about a month ago.
Great city.
Thank you. And my dad, who's back at home in Toronto, it's actually his birthday today, and he doesn't have a cell phone, so we only communicate through email. So I was just wondering maybe what's a recipe I can send him and we can cook in different places and connect that way for 2 amateur cooks.
Okay, well, we know your dad's going to get this some way, somehow. What's your dad's name? Steven, what's up, man? Happy birthday. Your daughter's here giving you mad props. Let's talk about a fun recipe. What's your dad like to eat? Okay.
Not too picky.
Okay, let's talk about chicken wings.
Okay.
My family loves chicken wings, but I'm not a big fried food, like I was telling you, I'm not a big fried food fan. I make chicken wings that are so crispy that they typically don't need to be fried again. And that's the way we make them. And quite frankly, I think they even taste better and they give better texture. So make a dry rub. Depends on if your dad likes to go spicy, if he likes to go Asian, if he likes to go all-American, if he wants to go Italian. You can kind of set your spice rub, salt, pepper, granulated garlic, granulated onion. Always have to have an herb in there some way, shape, or form. So a little Italian seasoning or maybe a little oregano, a little chili powder, your favorite. You want to go super spicy, go chipotle, go ancho, go standard chili powder. You could take them Indian, you could take them Mexican. You can kind of go where you want with them. And dry rub those wings. Make sure they're thawed out and give them a nice dry rub to them. Liberally, not liberally, soaked, but oil your cookie sheet, so your roasting pan, so you don't have, and not a high pan, by the way, because it'll steam inside. It'll build up moisture on the sides, but a flat pan, and throw those bad boys in at 350 and let them cook off. And after they've gone about 30 minutes, go ahead and give them a flip. Then, while he's doing that, go ahead and make your sauce, whatever kind of sauce you like to make. Now, we're a big hot wing sauce family. So we start with a little butter, a little bit of garlic, a little jalapeno, get some of that really nice, fresh heat. And then a little wing sauce of your favorite, or you can go into making your own cayenne sauce with some cayenne pepper and some vinegar and so forth. But if you just find the wing sauce you like, adding a little butter to it gives that nice little velvet, almost like a little silkiness to the wing sauce. But, you know, wings are a favorite of ours, and they eat great cold, and they eat great warm, and they play well with others. They go into anything. I'll sometimes, you know, we're looking around for something to do, and I got some quinoa and some veggies left over and an egg and I'll throw a chicken wing in there, a little surprise. You know, kids will go after that chicken wing right off the bat. So there would be a quick, easy one for you. And happy birthday to your dad.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I just
Hello.
wanted to know what is your favorite food to get when you're in New York?
Well, I think I already kind of gave you that one, but I'll say it again because I'm jonesing for it right now. I'm a huge Asian food fan, and I was walking through Chinatown on a dumpling forage. I was just, going through all the places trying. I think I tried them all, and I found this funny little joint. And I'm telling you, hole in the wall. Ironically enough, we're just driving down, 9th Avenue the other day, and we drive by, and my manager Reed looks out the window and goes, "Tasty hand-pulled noodle too." They opened up another location. Awesome for them, because I met the whole family. They all work in this restaurant. And they do, and I went back there and worked with them for like 4 hours one day, and just making noodles and just cutting noodles and stretching. I still can't get the noodle dance down. I don't have any. I think that's just not in my DNA to do the big noodle thing. Yeah. You know the noodle thing that I'm talking about? If you haven't, go on YouTube. You'll understand what that just meant. But that's one of my favorite. That's one of my all-time favorite is Chinatown and noodles and dumplings in particular. And but I also, the great thing about New York is you could stop on any corner and you can get yourself a really great salad. And I know it doesn't sound like, what did he say? He said he loves salad. I love salads, especially in the middle of the day when you don't want to get bogged down. I'm usually moving pretty fast, but I like hearty salads. Yeah, I would say that's the beginning. And then my restaurant, over in Times Square. I love going and seeing my team. I mean, these guys, this team over there goes from 0 to 60 real fast with with everything that's happening in the Broadway area. But it's hard to pinpoint one and say that's my favorite. But I would say tasty hand-pulled noodle.
I think we have time for one more question. I think it's you.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Adina, and my question would be, this week there is this new luxury movie theater opened, iPic, and my question is, what do you think bringing back this dining experience to theaters?
I don't really jump on the soapbox too much. When I do, I've really thought through what I talk about. So I don't really have a lot to say about it other than to say I remember going to a theater where you could drink beer and eat pizza and watch second-run movies, like movies that had been cool, And you could sit there and drink beer and eat pizza. I thought that was really cool. I wasn't really there for the movie, It was entertainment, but I enjoyed the beer and the pizza at the same time. That was cool. Sometimes when I go to a movie, most of the time if I go to a movie, because I'm not a big movie person, when I go, I'm going to get I want to see, what is this all about? So I don't know that I would be able to appreciate the food as much as I would when I'm watching the movie, or vice versa. So for me, I don't know. Now, for people that are real moviegoers that really enjoy it, maybe that would be. But I'm already, these movies now with all the sound systems and so forth, and how I'd be eating steak and lobster, I was just confused. And then what if I needed something? How am I going to get the waiter to come over and cocktail? So I don't know about that, but it's very funny. I'll tell you this. Where are you from, by the way? I heard an accent. From Hungary? Oh, awesome. I was just in Barcelona, and I went to a soccer game. Anybody ever been to a major soccer game in Europe?
No, I really want to.
Okay, picture this. Barcelona, 10 p.m. Tuesday night, soccer game. Real Madrid versus Barcelona, okay? We're going to go. Load up my buddies. My wife's with me. A couple of my other buddies. Going to go. Here we go to the game. We start getting to the game, and it is like, I thought people were evacuating the city. There were so many people. Streets were shut down. Cops are, and you come in and you load up into a stadium. 100,000 people, not an empty seat, everybody sitting in the stadium on a Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Here's the funny part. We couldn't find one person drinking a beverage or eating any food in the stands. And it wasn't not allowed. It just wasn't what the culture was. It wasn't go and get the popcorn and the pretzel and the dog and the beer and the thing. Oh, they had the stands, but when you went down to the stands during the middle of the game, there was nobody in them. The people were standing halfway in the alcoves looking out to see the game. It was a real trip.
Well,
nobody had anything.
It kind of goes back to the sort of Parisian thing that you were talking about before. When it's time for food, it's time for food. We sit, we have an hour for food. When it's time for soccer, it's time for soccer. When it's time for a movie, it's time for a movie. That's how you appreciate the sort of culture that went into making that thing for you.
That's weird how that went full circle, huh?
We brought it back, man.
That brought it right back.
Guys,
glad you picked up on the handoff.
Is your book in stores now? How can people pick up the new book?
The book just came out yesterday. It's awesome. The photography in the book is a real important piece. I made the kids suffer through weeks of it. We shot it all ourselves. We have a great photographer got involved, but everything you'll see, that I'll tell you the funny story. My dad is in the picture here, and this is up at the ranch, and my dad doesn't change or to put on. He just, what you see is what you get. So he's sitting here in the chair with his work shoes on. And I said, Dad, those look terrible. He's like, you want me in the picture or not? That's the answer we got. But there's some great pictures of the kids in there and a lot of fun. And this is really probably the center. And I appreciate the questions today. And thank you very much for having me. But this is really the center. I know people like to make an opinion and try to figure out who somebody is from knowing the little bit about them they do. But this is probably one of the best best explanations of my core and my passion and my philosophy about family and food and energy. And so I'm really happy. And yeah, you can get it, and it's out. And Amazon's a great place to get it. But Barnes & Noble, you know all the places to go. But
Guy
did we give it away? Did we give the book away?
We're giving some away here, too.
Do
yeah,
we have more
absolutely.
books to give away?
We have some, I believe.
No? Yes? We have this one to give away on Twitter. Do we have any books? We have one book.
Now is definitely the time to figure this out.
I think that first question should definitely get a book, don't you? All right, first question, you get my book. So let me ask you a question. What do you want to give, the shout out or the book?
I mean, he's watching right now, so.
All right.
What's his name? Steve. Shout out to Steve.
Steve, there you go. And she's going to get the book. All right, buddy?
There it is. Guy Fieri, everybody. Thank you so much, Guy. Thanks
for having me, you guys.